When you first open your eyes in the morning, have you ever noticed the very first thought that greets you when you open your eyes? Is it a complaint? I didn't sleep enough. I have too much to do. Why is life so heavy? Or is it something softer, something lighter? A whisper of gratitude. Thank you for this new morning. Thank you for this breath. Thank you that I am still alive to see the sun rise again. The first thought of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. It is like striking the very first note in a song. The rest of the melody will take its direction from there. I want to share with you the story of a man I once met. He was not a monk, not a spiritual teacher, not even someone who believed in meditation or prayer. He was simply a man struggling with life, overworked, anxious, and feeling like every day was just another weight he had to carry. One morning, after hearing advice from a friend, he tried something new. Instead of reaching for his phone the moment he woke up, he reached for a small notebook he kept by his bed. In it, he wrote down 3 simple things he was grateful for. At first, it felt awkward, even forced. One day he wrote, "Grateful for coffee." Another day, "Grateful for the fact that I didn't miss the bus." Some mornings, he could barely think of anything and would scribble down, "Grateful that this day hasn't gone wrong yet." But he kept at it. 3 things, every morning. And slowly, something began to change. The list became longer. His heart felt lighter. He started to notice little details he had ignored before, the smile of the cashier, the way sunlight danced on the kitchen counter, the comfort of his worn-out shoes that had carried him faithfully for years. Within months, he realized that his days didn't feel as heavy anymore. Problems didn't disappear, but his relationship with them shifted. Instead of waking up bracing himself for battle, he began each day with a quiet acknowledgement. Life was still offering him gifts, and all he had to do was notice them. This practice is simple, almost deceptively so. But in the language of Buddhism, it is exactly what the Buddha taught. When the mind turns toward wholesome thoughts at the very beginning of the day, the seeds of merit are watered. A mind that begins with gratitude is a mind less likely to fall into anger, envy, or despair. Gratitude is not just politeness, it is a fertile ground from which peace, resilience, and even wisdom can grow. Think about it. What would happen if you tried this for yourself? Tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you step into the rush of the day, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, what 3 things can I thank life for, right now? They don't have to be grand. Maybe you're thankful for the sound of birds outside your window. Maybe you're thankful for the blanket that kept you warm. Maybe you're simply thankful that, for today, you are still here, still breathing. Gratitude is not about denying life's difficulties. It is not pretending everything is perfect. Instead, it is about remembering that even in the midst of chaos, there are threads of goodness woven into your life, threads strong enough to hold you together when everything else feels like it's falling apart. I myself have seen how powerful this practice can be. In my years of meditation and guiding others, I've met people who walked into the monastery carrying deep pain, loss, disappointment, loneliness. And when I asked them to try this same practice, many of them resisted. "What do I have to be grateful for?" they would say. But when they sat with it, when they allowed themselves to notice even the smallest gifts, a friend's kindness, the food on their plate, the simple fact of being alive, something softened. Gratitude became their doorway to healing. So I ask you now, dear listener, what is the first thought you want to carry into your morning tomorrow? Will it be another complaint? Or will it be a seed of thankfulness that can change the entire landscape of your day? Remember, every sunrise is an invitation to start again. You don't need to wait for a perfect life to be grateful. Gratitude itself can make your life feel more perfect than you imagined. Because in the end, gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a way of rewriting your destiny, one morning at a time. And in our next video, I will share with you the story of someone who discovered peace not by gaining more, but by facing the deepest loss of their life, and finding gratitude even there. When loss becomes a gift. Have you ever wondered, can loss itself be a gift? At first, it sounds impossible. Loss hurts. It tears something away from us that we thought we could never live without. It leaves us raw, hollow, uncertain. And yet, sometimes in the silence after loss, a new kind of wisdom appears, a wisdom we would never have touched otherwise. Let me share a story with you. There was once a mother who lost her only child. For months, she could not breathe without pain. Her mornings were heavy, her nights sleepless. She would look at the toys left behind, the photographs on the wall, and her chest would tighten, as if she were being crushed. Many people told her, "Time will heal," but to her, those words felt empty. How could time heal a wound that went so deep? But something remarkable happened. One morning, sitting quietly by the window, she let her mind wander back to the days when her son was alive. She remembered his laughter, the way his small hand used to curl around her finger, the countless little moments they shared, ordinary things, yet priceless. And instead of collapsing into grief, she whispered softly, "Thank you. Thank you for those years. Thank you for the love I was given." That whisper became her prayer. Each day, she began to recall one memory, and, instead of drowning in sorrow, she chose to feel gratitude that such a memory even existed. Slowly, her heart softened. The pain did not disappear, but it was no longer unbearable. Gratitude turned her loss into a reminder of love, love that was real, love that would always live in her heart. In Buddhism, we speak of impermanence, that all things, even the ones we treasure most, are temporary. At first, this teaching can sound harsh, almost cruel. Why should we accept that everything we love will change or fade? But impermanence is not here to punish us. It is here to remind us to cherish. When you truly understand impermanence, every moment becomes precious, because you realize it cannot last forever. The mother in this story discovered this truth not through books or sermons, but through her own heart. She saw that her son's life, though short, was still a miracle. The memories were not a chain tying her to sorrow, but jewels she could hold in gratitude. I want you to pause and think about your own life for a moment. What have you lost? A loved one, a relationship, a dream you once carried. How often do we look back on those losses only with regret or bitterness? And yet, could there be a way to hold them differently? To see not just what was taken away, but also what was given. There is a saying I often repeat to myself: don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. It may sound simple, even cliché, but when lived deeply, it is a profound practice. Because gratitude doesn't erase the pain of loss, it transforms the pain into strength. When we lose someone, gratitude allows us to keep their presence alive in a healthier way. Instead of clinging to what cannot return, we honor their gift to us by remembering the love, the lessons, the beauty they brought into our lives. Gratitude becomes the bridge between grief and healing. I, too, have faced loss in my own life. As a monk, people often assume I am free from such pain. But monks are human, too. I once lost a dear friend suddenly, and for a long time, I carried a heavy weight of regret, wishing I had said more, done more, been more present. But over time, through meditation and reflection, I learned to thank him silently. Thank you for the laughter we shared. Thank you for showing me loyalty. Thank you for the lessons you left behind, even in your absence. That gratitude became the way I continued to walk forward, carrying his spirit in my steps. Loss does not mean love ends. If anything, it sharpens love. It shows us just how precious every moment is. It teaches us to hug tighter, to listen deeper, to live more fully, because we finally understand how fragile it all is. In this way, loss itself becomes a teacher, and gratitude is the language by which we learn its lesson. So I invite you now to reflect: is there a loss in your life that still weighs on you? Could you, even for a moment, shift from asking, "Why was this taken from me?" to whispering, "Thank you for letting me have it," even if only for a while. You may find that your heart, though still tender, begins to breathe again. This is the paradox of loss: it hurts because it matters. And gratitude turns that hurt into a reminder of what is sacred. In Buddhism, we say that suffering can be the gateway to awakening. When we suffer consciously, when we don't run from it but instead face it with awareness, something awakens inside us. Gratitude is one of the ways we awaken. It transforms the rawness of pain into a deeper appreciation of life. The mother who lost her child did not erase her grief. But she learned to live alongside it, allowing gratitude to soften her sorrow into strength. And in this way, her son's life continued to bless her, not through his presence, but through the gratitude his memory inspired. So yes, as strange as it sounds, loss can become a gift. Not because we wanted it, not because it was easy, but because it awakens us to love in a way nothing else can. Gratitude turns loss into strength, grief into compassion, endings into beginnings. And in our next video, we will explore how gratitude can also heal relationships, how even a simple thank you can dissolve walls of resentment and bring people back together. Until then, may you hold your losses gently, and may gratitude show you that even in endings, there are blessings still alive. Gratitude, the medicine for hatred. Have you ever tried thanking someone who once hurt you? At first, it sounds unthinkable. Why would we show gratitude to those who caused us pain? Shouldn't we push them away, forget them, or even seek revenge? And yet, gratitude, strange as it may seem, can become the very medicine that dissolves hatred. Let me share a story. There were once two close friends. 4 years they walked together, laughed together, shared secrets and dreams. But as life often unfolds, a misunderstanding grew between them. Words were spoken in anger, trust was broken, and what was once a warm friendship turned into cold silence. One of them carried bitterness like a stone in his chest. He would replay the hurt again and again, fueling his resentment. But something unexpected happened. The other friend, instead of clinging to anger, decided to take a different path. One evening, he sat down and wrote a letter. In the letter, he did not list complaints or demands for apology. Instead, he simply wrote, "Thank you. Thank you for all the years of laughter we once shared. Thank you for teaching me what loyalty felt like, even if it didn't last. Thank you for helping me grow by showing me both joy and disappointment. I am grateful for it all." When the letter was received, something shifted. The walls of resentment began to crumble. The friend who had been holding on to anger was disarmed, not by argument, not by force, but by gratitude. Hatred melted, and in its place was an unexpected peace. Their friendship never returned exactly as it was, but the poison of hatred no longer had power over their hearts. This is the power of gratitude. It transforms the way we see those who hurt us. Instead of defining them only by the wound they caused, we begin to see them as part of our human journey, teachers, in their own way. Buddhism teaches us about compassion and letting go. When we hold anger, we are the ones who suffer. Anger burns hot in our own chest, it keeps us awake at night, it tightens our bodies, it clouds our minds. But when we learn to shift from anger to gratitude, something remarkable happens, our suffering lightens. Gratitude does not excuse harmful behavior, but it frees us from being chained to it. Think about it in your own life. Is there someone you still hold resentment toward? Someone whose name, when mentioned, causes your stomach to tighten? What if, instead of feeding that anger, you asked yourself, what did I learn from this person? What strength did I gain because of them? What hidden gift did that painful chapter carry? I know this is not easy. Gratitude in the face of hurt feels unnatural. But consider this, if you continue to hold hatred, who does it hurt more, you or them? Most often, it is you. You carry the weight. You relive the wound. Gratitude is the way to set yourself free. I once met a man who had been betrayed in business by someone he trusted deeply. He lost money, time, and even his confidence. For years, he spoke of that betrayal with bitterness. But during a retreat, he began to reflect differently. He realized that the betrayal had forced him to grow wiser, more discerning, and more compassionate toward others who experienced loss. Eventually, he said something surprising, in a strange way: "I am grateful to him. Without that betrayal, I would not have become who I am today." That moment of gratitude was his liberation. He no longer carried the poison of hatred. He didn't condone the betrayal, but he was free from being its prisoner. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "Hatred is never appeased by hatred. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased." Gratitude is one form of non-hatred. It disarms the cycle of anger and creates space for healing. Sometimes, people ask me, "But how can I be grateful for someone who caused me deep pain? Isn't that dishonest to myself?" My answer is this: gratitude does not mean pretending the hurt never happened. It does not mean you invite them back into your life to hurt you again. It means you choose to see the bigger picture, that even in pain, life was teaching you something. Gratitude is not denial, it is transformation. Imagine your heart as a house. If hatred lives there, it takes up space, dark, heavy, suffocating space. But when you open the door and invite gratitude in, hatred finds no room to stay. A heart full of gratitude simply has no space for resentment. So perhaps today, you can try this small practice. Think of one person you have struggled with, and instead of revisiting the wound, ask, "What can I thank them for?" Write it down. Even if it is only one thing, let that seed of gratitude take root. Over time, it can grow into peace. Gratitude does not erase the past, but it transforms your relationship with it. It turns enemies into teachers, and pain into wisdom. And when your heart is trained in this way, you discover something profound. Gratitude is not just for the easy moments, it is also for the hard ones. That is how it becomes medicine. When your heart is filled with gratitude, there is no room left for hatred. What once poisoned you becomes your source of strength. And this medicine is available to you right now, if you are willing to take it. In our next video, we will step beyond people and relationships, and explore gratitude in an even wider sense, gratitude for the earth, the sky, the rain, the sun. Gratitude not just for human kindness, but for the vast web of life that sustains us every day. Until then, may your heart soften, and may you find freedom in the medicine of gratitude. Gratitude for wind, rain, and the sun. Hook. If tomorrow the sun did not rise, what would happen to us? Have you ever truly paused to imagine that? Not in a poetic sense, but literally. If the sun did not appear tomorrow morning, how long would our world last? We rely on its warmth, its light, its energy, yet how often do we wake up and actually whisper, "Thank you"? Main story and reflection. I once heard a story about a farmer in a quiet village. Every morning, before tending to his fields, he would stand at the edge of the soil, place his palms together, and bow. He bowed not to statues or temples, but to the earth beneath his feet, the rain that nourished the crops, the wind that carried the seeds, and the sun that ripened the harvest. People in the village sometimes laughed at him. They said, "Why thank things that cannot hear you?" But the farmer would simply smile and reply, "I bow not because they can hear, but because I can remember." And when the harvest came, whether abundant or scarce, his heart carried no bitterness. Even in years of drought, he still bowed, for he saw that the earth owed him nothing. He was simply borrowing from the kindness of the universe. This story is not really about farming. It's about a way of living. How often do we take for granted the silent gifts that sustain us? The air we breathe, the water that flows, the warmth that keeps us alive. We scroll on our phones, chase deadlines, worry about our problems, yet rarely pause to notice that the entire cosmos is conspiring every second just so we can live one more day. Teaching and expansion. In Buddhism, there is a teaching called dependent origination, the idea that nothing exists by itself. Everything arises because of countless conditions coming together. Think about it, the food on your plate is not just food. It is sunlight, soil, clouds, rain, farmers, truck drivers, grocery workers, all linked in a chain of interdependence. When you take a single bite, you are receiving the labor, the patience, and the life energy of countless beings. Gratitude, then, is not simply a moral virtue, it is a way of seeing reality clearly. It breaks the illusion that we are self-sufficient, independent, standing alone. The truth is, we are woven into a vast web of life. And once you see that, how can you not feel grateful? But here's the challenge, many of us only practice gratitude when life is comfortable. We say, thank you, when we get a promotion, when we recover from illness, when things go our way. But true gratitude runs deeper. It is not dependent on circumstances, it is an orientation of the heart. Even in hardship, gratitude whispers, this too is a gift, though I may not yet see its purpose. Personal reflection and question for the viewer. I remember a time in my own life when I was struggling, feeling weighed down by disappointments. One morning, I sat outside, frustrated with myself, and the sun was rising. Its light spilled over the trees, turning the sky a soft gold. And in that moment, I realized, the sun rises whether I am joyful or broken. It asks for nothing. It shines on everyone, the saint and the sinner, the rich and the poor, the hopeful and the despairing. And I thought to myself, if the sun can keep giving without discrimination, perhaps I, too, can find the strength to keep moving, to keep giving, even when my heart feels heavy. So let me ask you, when was the last time you looked at the sky and truly felt thankful, not for something grand, but simply for the fact that the world continues to hold you in place? Closing message. Gratitude is not just a response to blessings, it is the recognition that every breath is already a blessing. The wind that touches your face, the rain that nourishes the soil, the sun that lights your path, all of them are silent teachers, reminding us that life itself is a miracle. And even when life feels harsh, even when you are struggling through storms, gratitude is what steadies the heart. Because no matter how difficult things become, there is always something, however small, that you can bow to. So perhaps, tonight, before you sleep, you might whisper, thank you to the sky above you. And tomorrow morning, when the sun rises again, may your heart rise with it. Closing thought for next video. When we begin to live in gratitude, even our struggles soften. But gratitude is not just about receiving, it's also about giving. In the next part, we'll explore how expressing gratitude outwardly can transform not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. When life doesn't go your way. Hook. What if every challenge you face is secretly shaping you into someone stronger? It's easy to be grateful when life runs smoothly, when the bills are paid, the family is healthy, and doors keep opening. But what about the days when everything seems to collapse? When you lose the job you counted on, when a relationship shatters, when the world feels like it has turned its back on you? Have you ever wondered, could even this be a gift? Main story and reflection. I once met a man who had worked for the same company for nearly 15 years. His job was his identity, his security, his pride. One day, without warning, he was called into the office and told his position was being eliminated. Just like that, 15 years gone. At first, he was devastated. He couldn't sleep. He kept replaying the conversation in his mind, wondering what he had done wrong. Anger bubbled up, then despair. He felt like a failure, like life had betrayed him. But after the storm of grief, something unexpected happened. With no job to anchor him, he began exploring interests he had long ignored, reading, volunteering, learning new skills. He started taking online courses, things he had always thought were a waste of time. Slowly, he began to see the layoff not as the end, but as a doorway. 2 years later, He was in a completely different career, one that aligned more with his heart and gave him a deeper sense of purpose. Looking back, he told me, losing that job was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to grow in ways I never would have chosen. Teaching and expansion. In Buddhist teaching, this is the law of cause and effect, karma. Every event, whether pleasant or painful, plants a seed. And every seed, given time, can grow into something unexpected. We tend to label experiences as good or bad, but reality is far more fluid. What feels like a disaster today may be the soil for tomorrow's harvest. Think of a seed buried underground. From the outside, it looks like death, darkness, confinement, pressure. But inside, transformation is happening. Roots are forming, life is stirring. Only with time do we see the green shoot pushing through the soil. Our challenges are much the same. The question is, will we fight against them, or will we let them grow us? Personal reflection and question for the viewer. I remember my own season of loss, when something I had worked hard for slipped away. At first, I resisted, asking, why me? Why now? But eventually I realized that the pain was not my enemy, it was my teacher. It stripped away illusions, it taught me humility, and it showed me strength I didn't know I had. Maybe you've had a similar moment. Maybe you've faced an illness, a heartbreak, or a failure that knocked the wind out of you. Looking back, can you see how that very pain shaped you into who you are now? So I ask you, what if the struggles you face today are not punishments, but invitations? Invitations to grow, to see more clearly, to become more compassionate, more resilient, more free. Closing message. Gratitude in easy times is natural. But gratitude in adversity, that is where true freedom lies. When you can look at your hardships and say, thank you for shaping me, then life no longer controls you. You are no longer just a victim of circumstance, you are a student of it. The more grateful you are for difficulties, the lighter your heart becomes. And eventually, you discover that the very things you once cursed have become blessings in disguise. So remember, every storm carries a seed, and every trial is preparing you for a harvest you may not yet see. Closing thought for next video. In our next part, we'll explore something fascinating, the science of gratitude. Because while gratitude is a spiritual practice, modern research shows it literally changes the brain, rewires emotions, and strengthens the body. Let's journey there together. The science of gratitude. Hook. Did you know that just 2 minutes of gratitude a day can literally change your brain? It almost sounds too simple, doesn't it? We often think transformation requires years of effort, expensive therapies, or drastic changes. Yet modern science is confirming what ancient wisdom has whispered for centuries: gratitude is medicine. Main story and reflection. Let's start with the brain. Neuroscientists have conducted fascinating studies where participants were asked to write down a few things they felt grateful for each day. After several weeks, brain scans revealed something remarkable. The regions of the brain associated with happiness, calm, and empathy were more active. At the same time, the parts of the brain that fuel stress and anxiety had quieted down. Even more striking, these effects lasted. Weeks after the study ended, people who practiced gratitude still showed healthier brain activity, proof that gratitude leaves an imprint on our nervous system. Other research shows that gratitude reduces blood pressure, improves sleep, and even strengthens the immune system. People who practice it regularly are less likely to feel depressed and more likely to live longer, healthier lives. All of this, from something as simple as saying, thank you. Connecting to Buddhist teaching. When I first read about these studies, I couldn't help but smile. Why? Because thousands of years ago, the Buddha taught a practice called Niman, mindful remembrance of gratitude. He encouraged his disciples to reflect daily on the kindness they had received, from parents, from teachers, from nature, even from strangers. The purpose wasn't just moral, it was deeply practical. Gratitude softens the heart, calms the mind, and opens the door to compassion. Science is now putting numbers and scans to what monks and meditators have experienced for millennia. So when you sit quietly and bring to mind the warmth of the sun, the meal on your plate, or the friend who texted you just to check in, you are not only nurturing your spirit, you are literally rewiring your brain toward peace. Illustration and invitation to reflect. Think about this: if stress can reshape the brain negatively, why can't gratitude reshape it positively? Imagine carrying two lenses with you every day, one tinted by resentment, the other by thankfulness. Which lens would you choose to see your life through? Which one would you want your children to inherit? I once guided a student through a simple daily practice, writing down 3 things she was grateful for each evening. At first, she struggled. Her list felt repetitive. I'm grateful for my job. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for food. But after a few weeks, something shifted. She began noticing the details she had overlooked: the sound of birds outside her window, the kindness of a cashier, the fact that her body carried her through another day. Her journal became a tapestry of small blessings. And with it, her anxiety softened. She told me, "It's like I'm training my mind to see the good that was always there." That is the science, and the spirituality, of gratitude in action. Personal reflection and gentle challenge. I wonder, what would happen if you tried this yourself? Not for a year, not even for a month, but just for 1 week. Every day, pause for 2 minutes and name 3 things you're grateful for. Notice how it feels in your body, in your breath, in your mood. Science says it will lift you. The Buddha says it will free you. And your own experience will tell you if they are both right. Closing message. Gratitude, then, is not just a moral teaching, it is a medicine. It heals the mind, strengthens the body, and softens the heart. It is both ancient wisdom and modern science, both prayer and practice. But here is the deeper question: how do we keep gratitude alive when the days are hard? How do we make it more than a fleeting feeling, and instead a way of living? That is what we will explore next. Closing thought for next video. Gratitude is powerful, but its true power lies in consistency. In our next part, we'll explore how to make gratitude a daily rhythm, even on the days you don't feel like it. The 5-minute gratitude practice. Hook. Would you give just 5 minutes of your day for an entire day of peace? So often we think transformation has to be complicated. We imagine retreats, long meditation sessions, or a complete lifestyle overhaul. But the truth is, even 5 minutes, just 5, can shift the entire texture of your day. Let me show you how. Main story and reflection. Imagine this: you wake up, the mind already racing with things to do. Emails, deadlines, errands, worries. Before the day even begins, stress has stolen the first breath. But what if, instead, you took just 5 minutes to anchor yourself in gratitude? Here's a simple practice. It requires no cushion, no incense, no special place, just you and your breath. First, sit comfortably and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, slowly, and then let it out. Do this 3 times. As you breathe, feel your body soften, feel the weight of yesterday slip away. Now, gently bring to mind 3 things you are grateful for today. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee. Maybe it's the sound of birds outside your window. Maybe it's the fact that your heart is still beating, carrying you into another day of life. As each thought arises, whisper it silently in your mind: thank you. Feel the words not as duty, but as warmth. Finally, place a soft smile on your face, not because everything is perfect, but because you are choosing to begin your day with kindness toward yourself. That's it. 5 minutes. Breath, gratitude, smile. Connection to mindfulness and Buddhism. In Buddhist practice, this is nothing new. It is a form of mindful meditation, Chen Nim, where we anchor ourselves in the present moment through awareness and appreciation. Gratitude is not just a thought, it is a way of being present with what is. When you pause to breathe, you are telling your nervous system, you are safe. When you name what you are grateful for, you are training your mind to see abundance instead of lack. When you smile, you are softening your heart, creating space for compassion to arise. The Buddha once said that gratitude is the foundation of all virtues. Science now echoes this truth. 5 minutes of gratitude can lower stress hormones, improve focus, and set the tone for resilience throughout the day. Illustration and question for the viewer. I once guided a group of busy professionals through this practice. At first, they were skeptical. 5 minutes. That can't possibly make a difference. But after 1 week, many reported that they felt calmer, less reactive, even more patient with their families. One woman said, "It's like I carry a secret shield into the day. Little things don't bother me as much anymore." So let me ask you, if 5 minutes could shift your whole day, why wouldn't you try? Personal reflection. I practice this myself every morning. Sometimes my gratitude is profound, like being alive to witness the sunrise. Sometimes it is simple, like a hot cup of tea. What I've learned is that it doesn't matter how big or small. What matters is the sincerity of the heart. Gratitude is like a seed. Watered daily, even for just a few minutes, it grows into resilience, compassion, and joy. Skip it, and the mind reverts to old habits of worry and dissatisfaction. So the choice is simple: 5 minutes of planting peace, or 5 minutes of scrolling the phone. Which one will truly nourish you? Closing message. Gratitude, the more you nurture it, the more blessings it gives back. Like a river that flows endlessly, the practice of thankfulness carries away heaviness and brings clarity. And here's the hidden gift. When you live in gratitude, you begin to master the art of letting go. Because when your hands are open in thanks, they cannot cling in fear. Closing thought for next video. In our next part, we'll explore how gratitude teaches us to release, how thankfulness becomes the path to true freedom. Gratitude and letting go. Hook. Think about this: you cannot hold on tightly and give thanks at the same time. There is a quiet paradox hidden inside those words. The act of gratitude naturally softens your grip. When you truly feel thankful, your hands, both physical and symbolic, cannot cling in desperation. Instead, they open. They release. Gratitude and attachment cannot exist in the same breath. Let me share a story. A woman once told me about a love she had lost years ago. For a long time, she carried the memory of that relationship like a heavy stone in her pocket. Every reminder, a song, a street corner, the scent of a certain perfume, pulled her back into longing. She felt trapped in the past, unable to move forward. One day, during a quiet moment of meditation, she did something different. Instead of replaying the pain, she whispered softly, "Thank you. Thank you for the laughter we shared. Thank you for the lessons I learned. Thank you for showing me parts of myself I might never have discovered otherwise." She realized that gratitude did not deny the loss, it transformed it. By saying thank you, she was no longer clinging to what was gone. She was honoring it, bowing to it, and gently placing it down. This is the power of gratitude. It does not erase the past, but it allows you to carry it differently, not as a burden, but as a blessing. From the Buddhist perspective, this is the practice of non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean we stop loving, caring, or remembering. It means we do not grip so tightly that we bleed. Gratitude is one of the most skillful ways to release that grip. When we cling, we suffer. When we are grateful, we let life flow. Gratitude says, "I honor what has been, but I do not need to hold it forever. I can let it rest, and I can rest too." Think about your own life. Is there something, or someone, you are still holding onto with clenched fists? Maybe an old relationship, a dream that didn't unfold, or even an image of who you once were. What would it feel like, right now, to whisper thank you instead of why? What would it feel like to replace grasping with gratitude? There's a deeper layer here. Gratitude teaches us the art of impermanence. Everything that comes into our lives, every friendship, every season, every chapter, is temporary. But when we are grateful, we no longer see impermanence as cruelty. We see it as grace. Because every moment, precisely because it doesn't last, becomes infinitely precious. In Buddhist practice, this is a direct expression of no self, anatta. We understand that nothing is ours to keep. Even the people we love are not possessions. They are passing travelers who share a part of the road with us. Gratitude allows us to bow to them without chaining them to our expectations. And so, gratitude becomes a doorway to letting go. I often compare it to watching autumn leaves fall. If you stand under a tree in October, you might be tempted to grab the leaves before they drift away. But what if, instead, you simply admire their colors, smile, and whisper thank you as they float down? Isn't that moment more beautiful, more free? Gratitude works the same way in our lives. It turns goodbye into blessing, endings into beginnings, and loss into wisdom. Let's try a small reflection together. Close your eyes for just a moment. Picture someone or something you've struggled to let go of. Instead of reliving the hurt, breathe in deeply, and as you breathe out, simply say in your heart, thank you. Notice how that changes the feeling inside you. It might soften. It might bring a tear. It might even bring a smile. Gratitude doesn't force you to forget. It allows you to remember differently. And here's the paradox: when you let go with gratitude, you don't lose, you gain. You gain peace. You gain freedom. And you gain the ability to be fully present with the life that is still unfolding right in front of you. Gratitude helps you set down the heavy baggage of the past. And when your hands are no longer full, they are finally free to receive the present moment. Closing message. Gratitude helps you release without pain. And in that release, you see the most precious truth, the present moment itself. For tomorrow's journey, we'll explore how gratitude not only frees you, but also opens you to the boundless richness of now. Gratitude for the present. Hook. If today were your last day alive, what would you be grateful for? Take a moment with that question. It's not meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. Because the truth is, none of us are promised tomorrow. And yet, in our rush to get to the next thing, we often forget the treasure that is right here, this breath, this moment, this ordinary day. Let me share a story. I once visited a man in the final stage of his illness. His body was frail, his days clearly numbered. And yet, when I walked into his room, he greeted me with the warmest smile. I asked him gently, "How are you today?" He took a shallow breath, looked out the window where sunlight streamed in, and whispered, "Grateful." Grateful for what? For another sunrise he could witness. For the sound of birds outside his window. For the hand of his daughter holding his, steady and strong. He told me, "Every breath is a gift. I don't count how many are left. I just say thank you for the one I have now." In that moment, he embodied what the Buddha called dwelling happily in the present moment, or in Pali, Ditthadhammasukha Vihara. It means you don't postpone happiness to a future that may never come. You discover it here, in the living presence of now. Think about how often we delay our gratitude. We say, "I'll be grateful when I get that job, when I buy that house, when I finally feel better, when everything lines up perfectly." But life doesn't wait for our conditions to be met. It's unfolding right now, breath by breath. The man I visited didn't have many tomorrows left to wait for. So he gave thanks for today. And in that gratitude, he found peace, not in some faraway future, but right there, in his fragile but luminous present. Here's the thing: Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The cup of tea in your hands, the sound of laughter in another room, the cool air of the morning, all of these are miracles when seen through grateful eyes. Ask yourself, when was the last time you felt truly thankful just for breathing? We take so much for granted, until life reminds us that nothing is guaranteed. Gratitude is not about ignoring difficulties, it's about remembering that even in the middle of challenges, there is still light, still kindness, still life moving through us. Buddhist wisdom teaches that happiness is not something we chase, it's something we recognize. The practice of gratitude sharpens our vision, so that we can see the jewels hidden in plain sight. Without gratitude, life feels scarce. With gratitude, life overflows. So here's a simple practice you can try today. Pause for just a few seconds. Place your hand on your heart. Take one conscious breath. As you exhale, silently whisper, "Thank you." That's it. That one breath, that one thank you, is enough to shift your entire state of mind. When you train your mind this way, the present moment becomes a kind of paradise, not because everything is perfect, but because you see clearly what is already here. The sound of rain, the smile of a stranger, the softness of your pillow at night, these are not small things. They are life itself, inviting you to awaken to its beauty. And here's the deeper secret: gratitude doesn't stop with yourself. When your heart is full, it naturally overflows. You begin to radiate kindness. You find yourself saying thank you not only inwardly, but also outwardly, to the cashier at the store, to a friend who listens, even to the challenges that shape you. In this way, gratitude becomes a form of generosity. By being grateful, you remind others that life is still a gift, even with its imperfections. Your presence itself becomes an offering. So let me ask you again, if today were your last day, what would you be grateful for? And if you already know the answer, why wait? Why not live each day as if gratitude were your first language, your daily prayer, your way of saying yes to life? Because when your heart is filled with gratitude, the present moment truly becomes heaven on earth. And the more you live in that awareness, the more your gratitude ripples outward, touching everyone you meet. Closing message. When your heart is full of gratitude, the present moment becomes paradise. But gratitude is not meant to stay locked inside, it spreads, naturally, like light. And tomorrow, we'll explore how that light of gratitude can move beyond your personal life and transform the world around you. Gratitude and passing it on. Hook. Did you know that gratitude only becomes complete when it is shared? Think about that for a moment. Gratitude isn't just something you feel inside your heart, it's something that blossoms fully when it flows outward, when it touches another person, when it continues beyond you. Let me tell you a simple, beautiful story. There was an elderly man who lived a quiet, contented life. Every day, before he began his meal, he would pause, bring his hands together, close his eyes, and whisper a soft thank you. Not just once in a while, but every single day. His young granddaughter often sat at the table with him, watching curiously. One day she asked, "Grandpa, why do you always put your hands together like that before eating?" He smiled and replied, "Because every grain of rice, every piece of bread, comes from countless hands. The farmer, the rain, the earth, the cook, without them, we could not eat. Gratitude is my way of honoring that." From that day on, his granddaughter began to imitate him. She would place her tiny hands together before each meal and whisper her own little thank you. What started as one man's quiet practice became a living seed planted in the heart of the next generation. And through that, gratitude did what it always longs to do: it grew, it spread, it lived on. This is the true power of gratitude. It's not meant to stay locked inside. It's like water, it wants to flow. It moves through you, nourishes your spirit, and then continues its journey into the lives of others. The Buddha taught that wholesome actions, whether generosity, kindness, or gratitude, multiply when shared. It's like lighting a candle. The flame doesn't diminish when you use it to light another, instead, the room grows brighter. Gratitude works the same way. The more you pass it on, the more abundance you create, both in yourself and in the world around you. Now, let's pause and reflect. Who first taught you the meaning of gratitude? Maybe it was your mother reminding you to say thank you. Maybe it was a teacher who encouraged you to see effort behind every gift. Maybe it was life itself, humbling you through loss and then showing you the value of what you still have. Gratitude is never just personal, it always has roots in others. And here's the beautiful truth: when you choose to live with gratitude, you also become a teacher. You may not even realize it, but the way you give thanks leaves an imprint. A child watching you, a friend listening to you, even a stranger observing your kindness, all of them are touched by your example. Gratitude, when embodied, becomes contagious. Let me give you a modern example. Imagine a family sitting down to dinner. Phones are buzzing, distractions are everywhere. But before eating, one person says, "Let's pause for just 10 seconds. Let's each share one thing we are grateful for today." At first, it might feel awkward. But soon, a shift happens. The air softens. Hearts open. A child says, "I'm grateful for my mom." A parent says, "I'm grateful we are all together." Suddenly, the meal is not just food, it's communion, connection, and love. That's how gratitude spreads, not by grand speeches, but through small, consistent acts that ripple outward. Buddhist wisdom often speaks of merit, or punya. When we practice gratitude and then share it, we are not just feeling good for ourselves, we are creating conditions of happiness for others. Merit is like planting seeds. And the more seeds we plant, the richer the garden of life becomes for everyone. Ask yourself, what seeds are you planting today? Are you planting seeds of resentment, complaint, and bitterness? Or seeds of gratitude, kindness, and joy? Because what you plant will eventually bloom, not only in your life, but in the lives of those around you. Gratitude passed on becomes a legacy. It can shape families, communities, even entire cultures. Imagine if, as a society, we made gratitude as natural as breathing. Imagine schools where children begin the day not just with facts and formulas, but with a moment of thanks. Imagine workplaces where appreciation isn't rare but routine. Imagine relationships where thank you isn't formal politeness, but a heartfelt daily offering. That's the world gratitude can build. And it begins with you, right where you are. So here's my invitation: don't let gratitude stop with you. Pass it on. Teach it to your children. Share it with your friends. Express it at your dinner table. Write it in a letter. Speak it in a prayer. Show it through your actions. Gratitude is like music, it's meant to be heard, felt, and carried forward. Because when you do, you're not just practicing gratitude, you're planting blessings that may outlast your own life. Closing message. Gratitude becomes a seed of joy that grows into blessings for the world. When you pass it on, you're not just saying thank you, you're weaving yourself into the great flow of life's goodness. In our next video, we'll explore a deeper question: how can gratitude lead us to true wisdom and even liberation?